Okay, here is the home page of Sangfor HCI management platform. And on the home page, you can get a bird's eye view of what you have in the cluster, including the nodes, the VMs, as well as the resource usage. As you can see here, we have 2 nodes in the cluster, and we have created 5 VMs, and all those VMs are powered off now. We also created a virtual storage, which is shown here as external storage. You can also see the CPU memory and the storage usage right here. On the bottom, you can also see the physical nodes status. We have 2 nodes. 101 is the master node, and 102 is also in the cluster. We have created virtual storage, which is here as a data store. You can see the data store usage right here. On top of the home page, you can see there are 6 tabs. The first one is home, okay, which is exactly what we are at now. And compute shows all the VMs, and you can do all the configurations of your VMs right on this tab. Networking shows the networking status as well as the deployment of your topology. You can get a visualized view of all your networking settings. Storage is the virtual storage as well as local storage status page. Nodes will show a detailed display of your physical server status. System is like the setting menu on your mobile phone. Basically, you can do all the settings there, like the licensing, like the backup, delete, as well as HCI setting. So here you can see there are some icons on the bottom of the tabs, below the tabs. You can view them as shortcuts to the VMs. Okay, you can create a VM right here. You can also do backup from the shortcuts, and also do the P2V or V2V using the convert to VM shortcut. You can also add a node if there are some available nodes in the same IP segment. You can also jump to data store, which you can add external storage. So that is the home page, which is very intuitive, and you can view basically all the general information of your cluster. So next, let's go to compute. Like I introduced, on the compute page, you can see all the VMs you have right here. Okay, there's a warning. The warning means that this VM hasn't been installed with VM Tool. VM Tool is a tool, it's a plugin to the VM which will boost the performance as well as upload all the information of this VM to the platform so that you can see the status of this specific VM. Let's power on some VMs. It's very easy. You can also view them in panel, in list. Okay. If you want to create a VM, a new VM, you can just click Add. To create a new VM, it's like this. Okay, you just input the name. You can also add a tag. You can also even change the image of this VM. If you want to enable HCI for this specific VM, you can just take this off, and you can also do the HCI settings right from the VM setting page. We will go to the HCI settings later in the system page, on the system page. And there are some basic configurations for the VM, like you can choose the specific specifications for this VM. You can change each item right here to make it satisfy your requirements. There are also some advanced settings right here on the VM setting page. As you can see here on the left side, okay, we have some groups. Here we can support 5-layer grouping of the VMs to satisfy the requirement from some R&D departments in some companies, because typically in an R&D team there will be multiple projects running at the same time simultaneously. So you need to categorize those VMs in different groups for different project teams to use, just to make things more clear and more organized. You can also power on or shut down these VMs or do some other operations on these VMs in batch. Just simply click them, tick them, and then you can do the operations right here in batch. There's also some advanced search functions on the VM page. You can search a specific VM right here, by filtering some of the information, and then you can locate this VM very easily. There are also some other information which is shown here, like the I/O speed for the VM, the throughput. Typically, when you view a VM, you will see the basic information, including the CPU, memory, and disk usage. Okay, so let's go to the VM page and see the summary of a specific VM. You can see here shows the detailed status of this VM, including the CPU, memory, and disk usage, as well as the throughput and packets. Also, you can see the IOPS of the VM. You can also do some other operations to the VM, like you can take a snapshot right here to protect this VM. Now, once something happens to the VM, you can roll back to the specific time point that you took the snapshot. This is especially useful for testing environment. You can also do backup. Typically, when you do backup, you will back the VM, this entire VM, to a third storage. Okay, just to ensure that if the cluster failed, you still have the data of the VMs. To do backup, we have two types of backup. One is manual backup, and the other is scheduled backup. You can consider this scheduled backup as an automatic backup policy set by you, and it will run automatically according to the policy. You just enable the backup. You can add a policy right here. As you can see, you can specify the backup time and backup window. Usually the backup will be taking place at night, after 12 o'clock, when the business is not running or is not busy. You can do the backup on an hourly basis. We'll get to the permissions details later, in the system page, on the system page. All the operations you have done to the VMs will be recorded to the admin logs right here. And if there are some alarms, it will also be shown here. Okay. There are also some other operations that you can take to this VM. Okay, you can clone a VM, you can migrate this VM, and we can also support migrate VMs across clusters. This is a new feature in our 5.2 version. Let's go back to compute. Okay, you can add a new group. Like I said, we can support a 5-layer group for the VMs. And just to make the VMs more distinguished, more organized, we have added a feature in 5.2 as the tag. So you can tag a VM just to distinguish this VM from others. Like in a R&D environment, you may have 2 VMs which are running the same system, same operating system, and they may have almost the same name. What can you do to tell the difference between them? You can just add a tag to it. Like this one, I can add a tag like test. And you just add this tag. Boom, the tag is added to this VM. This is also very good for the VM lifecycle management, because sometimes when you do R&D, you do testing, the VMs will be discarded after the test. Okay, so you need to know which batch of VMs have already expired, just to delete them to release the resource. It is a very easy way to tell that this VM is already expired, by the view of its tags.